Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Gloucester County Board of Supervisors budget work session of Monday, April the 27th. Ms. Calloway, would you call the roll?
Dr. Orth. Here. Dr. Leming. Here. Mr. Hutson.
Here.
Mr. Chriscoe.
Here.
Mr. Nicosia.
Here.
Ms. Hanson. Here. Mr. Bonniville. Here. All present.
Thank you. All that are able, would you please rise for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance given by the Honorable Tony Nicosia.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for another opportunity to come together as the elected body of Gloucester County and Gloucester Volunteer, and the entire county, God. And we thank you for your presence here tonight, and help us to make wise decisions that benefit the entire county as a whole. Go with us, be with us, as always. Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a second? We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Next, we will move to our public comment period. Speakers, if you want to come forward, please state your name, your magisterial district, and we'll limit comments to 3 minutes. I do not think we have any online comments tonight. Going once, going twice. Okay. We will move now to the work session agenda. Before we start that, Ms. Calloway has a couple of items to update us prior to our discussion.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have two quick notes before proceeding this evening. The first is that we've been consistently reviewing figures and trying to get the most up-to-date projections, and we have a couple of revised carryovers that will be incorporated into this worksheet. I do want to note those, again, bring over both the expenditure as well as the corresponding revenue, so there's no net impact to what I've done with those few carryovers. One in particular I want to mention, it is the $450,000 for the cafeteria fund that was budgeted in fiscal year 26, and that was held from unassigned fund balance specifically for cafeteria fund in the event that they needed it. I spoke with the school CFO today, and they do not project needing to utilize that funding in fiscal year 26. However, the cafeteria fund is still gaining momentum monetarily, so they've requested that we carry that funding into fiscal year 27 as a hold, similar to how it's been done in 26. So that is incorporated into this workbook as well as a carryover, and the school representatives are here if you have any specific questions. Secondly, we have the utilities fund. I just wanted to mention that budget currently still includes $8.5 million in projects that would be done with debt funding. So we did review the debt capacity information today, and the utilities fund has what's called a revenue covenant. It's different from the debt capacity requirements of the general fund debt or general obligation debt. And with what that revenue covenant means is that the county promises that when they borrow for the utility, they will raise revenues, whether it be from the general fund or from rates, that there will be sufficient revenues to cover that debt service in the future. And so with that, the net revenues of the utility must equal 120% of the debt service, and that's after operating expenditures. So I have looked at that for fiscal year 27, and within what we have in the budget now, we will meet that requirement narrowly. However, 28 is a different story, and so I want to prepare the board that if this budget were to move forward for the utility fund, utilizing debt funding to pay the first year of interest payments on the major projects like Main Street, fiscal year 28 is going to require additional revenues beyond what we've shown you in projections in the past. So exactly how much we wouldn't know. We don't know. We have some very preliminary projections, but 28 will be a year for the utility that would need additional funding for that debt service. And that's all I have. We're happy to answer any of your questions.
Yes, Mr. Hutson.
Ms. Calloway.
Yes, sir.
So since it's a carryover for next year, That means we haven't used it, correct?
Correct.
We've seen two different emails, and maybe the schools need to answer this. Two different emails, one that was partially used, and the second time we got the email, it showed that the cafeteria fund was fully used last year, or this current year. Can somebody answer that question?
I'm not sure, Mr. Hartley, do you have any? I'm not sure to which emails you're referring.
Well, I'll ask it again in a few minutes when I get it.
Okay.
Because it was clearly 165 or 265,000 short. The spreadsheet, the slide was wrong. The math didn't math in the slide at TC Walker.
Oh, the budget, where we
The
had,
budget.
okay.
And I think I have it, but I'm gonna look for it. But then when it was corrected, it showed the full amount was utilized.
The full amount of the 450?
Yes,
I'm not aware of any of it being used.
okay, I'll show you in a second.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll bring you back up. In the meantime, I guess we should go back to our worksheet. Yes.
So, Mr. Chair, so for the
Yes.
public, while we get that up, and when it's there, could we review exactly where we were at the end of the session?
Before we do that,
Yeah, okay.
since the last session, I've asked this question, Dr. Leming asked this question. Before we do that, I would like to put that 38,181 back in here, and it's gonna affect things a little bit, but the go from 0.66 to the 1.0 for the step, I think it's important that we put that back in, and then we can start from that.
So that was,
I appreciate you picking up on that.
Yeah, I'd asked the same question 24 hours before you did. I was like, yeah, I didn't catch that and actually when I got the worksheet, I realized, I didn't realize we didn't put that back in. So we'll get that back in, and then it'll change things slightly, but
okay.
something that's not easy to overcome. But then we'll let Ms. Callaway enlighten everyone as to where our net position was.
Okay, as I mentioned, I have incorporated those carryovers. However, there's no net impact, so right now, the only net impact you have is the additional 38,000 for the step.
Correct.
So we ended up, I think what we did is we ended up level funding the school, correct? But going, no, we kept the school at the requested amount?
No, the schools are
Where are we with the
up
school?
some.
0.8%.
2 point,
Yep.
well, yeah, yeah, right, but
Am I correct?
everyone got 2.8%, we cut that. But how do we get to the amount of what was the amount on the .564? That was the .28, correct? That added that.
Well, that and putting in, because we stripped it all the way back down to where we could go all the way to giving
Everyone
tax
points?
rates back.
Right.
And then we started putting things back in because compensation is important to our people. Having the ability for compensation is important to the schools. And then we've gotten it back to, now we've added that step, which is probably gonna change, we probably won't notice it to go out another decimal point to notice the change for the 38,181. But that's where we got back to this new rate of a 2.027 tax increase on real estate, was adding that back.
So I'm still questioning, what about the school's request of about 3 million, which was?
Well, they requested 34,155. Oop, it was there.
It's right here, sorry.
And then, that's what
we adjusted, I was moving over, so this was I'm sorry, this was what they requested, yes, sir.
Yep, the 34,155 is what they requested. Our current is 32,051. Last year it was 30. Yes.
Ms. Callaway, can I ask you, I apologize, I wasn't here for the deliberations on the school cafeteria fund. I was led to believe that there was irregularity or uncertain funding around reimbursement for student lunches. I think that's what I remember reading about, and the fund was created as a backstop that if in fact the funding ran out, became tenuous, that it could be drawn on to make sure that it continued to provide lunches for those children. Is that close?
Kind of. It was basically, during COVID, we went to free lunches for everybody. And as that was peeling back, we tried to supplement it to make sure we could continue to do the free lunches for everybody. We thought the 450,000, Mr. Hartley or Dr. Ledoux can correct me, we thought the 450,000 would be enough to make it so we could provide those free lunches for one more year while everything was unraveling. We put that money into place. He's brought, I'm just made you a doctor. Mr. Hartley said, I'm not sure if that's gonna be enough, but let's leave it there. And I think within a month or two, he came back and said, we need to leave it, but we cannot go back. It's not enough to give free lunches to the entire student body as we had up until this whole thing started unraveling from COVID. But
So, yeah, certainly, Mr. Chriscoe, as you mentioned it, coming out of COVID, everybody was free. Essentially, we were reimbursed 100%. When those reimbursements stopped, we entered what was called community eligibility provision, and actually it was 5 or 8 buildings that were eligible for free meals. The other 3 were still on a paid model, still served students and families that qualified for free and reduced lunch, but the rest of the students would have to pay at those 3 buildings. We worked to a point where we could, and it's all formula driven, we got to a point where the federal guidelines dropped that down to about 25% from 40%, which made our remaining buildings eligible. So all of our buildings the year before, not this current year before, were eligible for free meals. But free's not free. This board heard me say it. The reimbursement rate still cost the school division about $600,000 last school year to cover those reimbursements. So that kind of started chewing into the fund balance the year before, and the year before that, those 2 years, it cost about $300,000 each for those 5 buildings. We just happened to add our largest 5 buildings last school year. So that fund balance we had coming out on full reimbursement quickly dwindled down. So there was a little bit of nervousness, and the board supported having that backstop of money as you described it. But fortunately, it was there, and things are in the positive currently.
Mr. Hutson.
While you're there, my question was on page 38 of the presentation that's dated March 17th. And I had a question that night because we were 260,000, page 38. We were $260,000 short of the 2 numbers adding up together.
I do have a revised slide.
And then we have the revised slide.
Correct.
But in your book, what was presented that night was $260,000 short, and that was using the full $450,000 fund balance. I'm thinking, okay, then there's an extra $260,000 in the fund balance that's sitting there. The revised slide that we got the next morning, all the numbers stayed the same, except you increased food supplies up to $1,369,000, the $260,000. So if you add the federal revenue, the local revenue, the state revenue, and the fund balance is where you come up with all those numbers. Those numbers equal personnel, food, supplies, and other expenditures. For both of them to be $3,689,122. So this one right here, the original, all this is the same except for the food supplies, which is on the presentation that you gave us was for $1,109,000.
It was for what again? I'm sorry.
$1,109,000. If you look at these numbers, unless somebody tells me I'm completely wrong, but since the revenue equals expenditures, that $450,000 was used. I don't care.
Good evening, Mr. Chriscoe, Mr. Nicosia, members of the board. Maria. We really appreciate the opportunity to come before you to answer the questions that you have. I think the confusion is that this slide was updated, so I know this lives up there. This is no longer correct. Initially, our staff had included the $450,000 in the budgeting for FY27 as presented back when both of our boards met. Since that time, I went back and said food service needs to be, again, at the end of the year, we need to come out even or make a profit on it to go into the reserve fund. So that's the difference as far as why this doesn't match the next day email. I know I have our staff here who could answer additional detailed information.
Dr. Vladu, this is the next day's email.
This is the March 17th packet.
Those numbers are the updated email we got the next day.
Ms. Cronin provided the revised.
And emailed it to us. She emailed it on.
Yeah, that should be the original slide from the joint meeting.
Here's the original slide.
I think what Supervisor Hutson is trying to say is if you look at the expenditures were 3.6. They've consumed fully the 450 in order to balance the numbers. Am I basically correct?
It is. So since you and I talked, because after the meeting, we looked at it and you explained very succinctly, this slide no longer is accurate. We provided a follow-up email that my staff is trying to find right now because initially that 450, as you can see, was included in the budgeting. And again, I went back and I said, no, we're not going to use that 450 because we need to look at building a system that's efficient and that comes out even or builds something every year to go into the balance. So again, that slide is no longer accurate.
Okay, because we never received any of the updated slides.
And I can find you that over the next 2 or 3 minutes. I'm going to get with my staff to forward it because with that very next day we clarified that through an email.
But this is the email that you sent the next day. This was included in the packet the next day. These numbers.
But that 450 looks like it's part of the budget. Yeah. And it should be a reserve fund or fund balance, yeah. So there is the email that we're missing right now. We probably need to find that so we could clarify this question for the board.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Dr. Leming.
In the same vein, it's been a long time since I dealt with any of this stuff in the schools, and I was never an expert at it to begin with. Is the cafeteria fund an isolated fund?
Yes, sir. It's independent of the other one.
It is?
Yes.
So for the benefit of the public, hypothetically, if there's $450,000 sitting in the fund balance of the cafeteria fund, it's not available to be used elsewhere in the school's budget.
Currently, this $450,000 is assigned within the general fund, and so we balance it each month and determine if the cafeteria fund does need a transfer from that general fund source. However, it has not needed that transfer yet. So the 450 is still residing in the general fund and would then be transferred if needed.
Like a tag, it's got a tag on it.
Okay.
So in other words, our request for the operating has really, those are two separate silos.
So yeah, if y'all find the updated one, if you could please let us know.
Certainly.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we are currently sitting with a $38,000 deficit, which we could probably have Ms. Calloway correct in the proposed real estate tab to make that. I don't know if it's enough to even.
I actually asked her to do that, but it was just me.
I interrupted it. Sorry.
So here we are, and I need guidance from the board as to what the next steps you want to see, or do we want to provide these numbers for us to adopt on Thursday?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
so I'm back to Dr. Orth's question earlier. Let's revise or review where we are exactly.
I want to make sure,
On the county side now, we've provided for, we're done with the capital improvements program. Am I correct, Ms. Callaway? The only question of that was a little bit about the 8-some-odd million, whether it was going to get debt funded or come out of the school sales tax, and we've decided it's going to come out of the school sales tax. Really had nothing to do with the general operating budget. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. So that's done. Within the proposed budget line before us then is on the income side is 2% on the food sales tax, no boat tax. Do we leave personal property alone?
yes.
I think we
There's-
did.
We have so far.
Right.
So far.
And, well, we only advertised in a lot of room there, by the way,
5 cents.
5 cents on the personal property tax. And then the bulk of this is going to, on the income side, is real estate. Okay. On the expenditure side, on the county side, this now accounts for the step, the full step. And
Well, the
Yeah,
point three
0.34.
four of the step
Right.
increased to a full 1, correct?
Correct, that's where I was going. And it also provides on the county side for a COLA, cost of living increase of 2.8%. Ms. Callaway was kind enough to share with me, with all the members of the board, misspoke, surrounding counties' COLAs, which, if I'm not mistaken, if I read late this afternoon, range somewhere from 2 to as high as perhaps 6%, or was it 4%? In addition, the proposed budget no longer flat funds the schools, it increases the schools by 2.8%.
It increases their funding from last year
Correct.
to that amount. It does not fully fund their requests. I'm just,
I understand that.
Yeah.
You're correct. It doesn't fully fund their request. I understand that. I'm just trying to get where we are.
correct.
And back on the capital side, the capital budget had 5 buses in it, not 6. Is that correct, Ms. Callaway?
Believe we were funding 5.
Yes, sir.
I think I remember
We shorted
5.
by 1 bus.
That's what I thought.
Their request.
I'm just asking. Mr. Chairman, I think I would be remiss if I did not bring to the board's attention, I understand it's not public comment time, but one of the restaurateurs in the community at least emailed me. I think he probably emailed all of us, and that was Gary Ward. Mr. Ward is unfortunately not able to be present this evening for a different commitment that he has, but I just wanted to make sure that people were cognizant of Mr. Ward's concerns.
And I was going to bring those up tonight, as we were talking about where we want it to, because in a perfect world tonight, we will have some numbers for staff to put into our approval documents for Thursday, so that we can adopt this budget as quickly as possible on Thursday if we get to that point tonight. And then Mr. Ward made a great comment to me today. I talked to him on the phone for about a half an hour, and then a couple hours later he emailed. You know, he went on to mention that that 2% is probably actually a little bit higher than what we're seeing here, because he's said, you know, in the last 6 years, the huge expense in food costs has caused everybody to go up on their menus. And what he is saying is these numbers are probably going to be a little bit higher, because he said with the cost of fuel, his prices are going to go up again very quickly. So this 2% is going to go up even more. He said, you know, for him, he said, Ashley, I've been doing this long enough. It's not going to bother me, because some of these other newer restaurants in this county, the mom and pop owned ones, he said they're going to really struggle with these people who are not going to keep coming into their places, because it's going to cost them even more than it already does. That coupled with increasing food costs and their cost of doing business. So I think there is some concern for that 2% meals tax. But at the end of the day, where does that revenue come from if we don't get it from there? But that is what that's what he talked to me about for a while today.
I want to make sure that, in terms of the expenditures, what that got us at .564 along those lines. So the school requested 34,155,561. That was on this sheet here. Where are we with the school fund right now?
32,051,348.
Wait. Okay, so rather than 34, we're giving them 32. So it's a drop in 2.1 million, correct?
In their request,
Right.
yes.
If I recall, the 2% of the sales, meals tax, 1 penny of it was supposed to go to utilities, which was 968, whatever, 900 plus thousand, which is about a penny .3 or penny and a half, penny .75.
916,589 would be 1%.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So if we dropped it a penny, we'd have to come up with another 916,000 bucks.
Correct. And it's the pleasure of the board. I mean,
I know. Well, if we look at the areas around us, Hampton, Newport News are 7.5%. James City County is proposing to go to 6. York County is proposing to go to 6. Matthews is proposing to go to 6. Virginia Beach is at 6.5. Norfolk is at 7.5. And as an interesting comment, I tell you, I took out my daughter and grandkids yesterday, went to the Texas Roadhouse in Newport News at 7.5%. There was a 45-minute wait. The place was packed, and it was a Sunday night. And when we left 2 hours later, there was another 45-minute wait. I don't understand, people spending money, and that's at a 7.5% meals tax. I think Williamsburg is at 6.5. Anyway, across the river, other than York County, which is proposing to go to 6 this year, they're all way above us. That's just the
yeah, but
numbers.
I was at a lunch today, Hampton, Newport News, James City County, are not proposing real estate tax increases either. And we're doing all of this on top of everything else coming from Richmond. It's just, it's something we got to think about, but it's the pleasure of the board. I'm not going to, stick my flag in here and go, we got to go back to 1% or take both of them away, because I don't think it's right. But at the end of the day, where are we going to find this money if we don't do it here? Because that 2% there is roughly it's closer to 3% on the real estate rate. So, do you want to pay a little bit at a time, or do you want to pay it twice a year?
So right now, if we keep it at 6%, where we talked about, and leave everything else alone, we are looking at a real estate rate of how much?
0.564, I think.
Right, 0.564. Which is 0.537.
The only way we overcome that currently is if this board is of a mind to, and I know we've talked about it, was looking at the B-poll taxes, because they don't show up till next March. It's just goes into this fiscal year, so that you could have some wiggle room there, but we'd have to have a pretty good understanding of what we want to do with those before we do anything different to this budget. Correct.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Ms. Callaway, I recall a conversation last time with council that we were going to have a current rate up there someplace. Would you just put it in there, please? Thank you. I think it's important. Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, you know what I wanted to do.
Do you want to see the number of pennies decreased from the current rate as well, or just the percentage?
I'm okay looking at it. Thank you. And a penny is $6.55 and some change. So the only way to make up for to fully fund the schools would be to increase the real estate tax rate by another 5 cents, give or take.
No, we're only, like 2.5, 3 cents. 3 cents. To go to their full ask of 34, from the 32 that we currently have in there.
Scroll down for me.
To the school
Please.
transfer.
Keep going, keep going, keep going, go. So it's 2.104 divided by 655.
It's not quite 3.
Okay.
And that's if we leave the meals tax at 2.
Yep. Correct. You're correct. You squeeze it here.
Yes. Mr. Hutson?
I mean, looking at the budget, what we've done this year is basically look at the asks, add which ones we wanted to it, and adjusted the rate to it. We haven't looked truly at the budget, any of the numbers throughout the whole budget, if there's anything that can be cut. We've only just done what the increases are. We're going to limit the increases, so last year's budget is where it is. And I know people have complained about the budget, wanting to do audits and everything else of the budget, which I don't think is needed. But, or let me back up, where our budget is audited every year. People have wanted a forensic audit. We've done no looking. We've not looked the first time at the budget, last year's budget itself. All we're doing is limiting the amount we're increasing last year's budget.
So then what would you like to look at then, Mr. Hudson, to?
I have looked at it. I'll be
Well,
honest with you. I'm just saying, that's the problem.
But you can't say we haven't, and then when I ask you what you want to look at, I mean, I've looked at it too, and the reason I look at these the way that I do is because short of reducing staff, I don't see a whole lot of ability for us to dive into each line item of this budget or each department of this budget to get something that's going to return to me the rate at what we would all like to see, which would be flat funding across it. Everybody still gets their 2.8% raise, and we don't have to raise taxes on any of these items. That solution doesn't exist without a reduction in staff, or that's the only way it would happen, would be a reduction in staff to get to there at this point.
I agree with you. But when people are saying that we need budgets, a forensic audit of our budget, our money, and nobody says that a budget is where it needs to be. The budget is true, no money is missing, our budget is lean. As a board, we need to say that and let people know, let the citizens know how lean this budget is. I agree with you. I've looked through the thing. I can't see where we can cut anything, but you've had people over for 6 months now saying that there's money out there that we're wasting. And I would just like somebody to show me where some of it is, but it's not there.
And there are things we really can't touch. Social services, fire and rescue, sheriff. I mean, the total amount of budget that we would have any way to work with is all the part that's the administration. We already said it's a lean budget every year for that component. That's the only thing we can work with. We're not going to touch safety and fire and rescue. That's a no-no. Social services, schools, we've already cut them a couple million.
We didn't fund their full request, and we're not funding the county's full request. Because that, your housing values go up 16% on average. Mine went up more than that, but on average it's 16% in this county. That alone doesn't even get us where we need to be. And like I said, I was in a room today, I don't think New Kent mentioned it, but I believe, like I said, James City County, City of Hampton, City of Newport News are not doing anything with their real estate rate. You know, we always like to compare ourselves to the neighboring localities. And I think York County is proposing to stay flat as well. Yes, I'm getting the head nod from Ms. Biggers, who attended the lunch with me. So, you know, there's things that are going here, and I'm sure New Kent doesn't have to either. I think they had a they're projected 21.6% growth from the 2020 census to the 2030 census. Number one in the state by 5 or 6%. We're not seeing that growth. We have no realized natural growth in our community. Doing this, we might see a little bit of extra cash depending on what happens after the first collection. There's always, you know, this magical windfall that everyone likes to talk. There might be a little bit of extra cash that we have to do a couple of these other projects. Don't know yet. Won't know until the money shows. Me personally, I hate this budget. And more than likely, I'll vote no. And the reason I'll vote no is there's too many taxes being increased on the heels of a reassessment, on the heels of a tax increase of last year. I know it's got to get funded. I know it's got to, we got to keep the doors open and the lights on in our buildings, and we got to have staff here to provide the services that our citizens require. But without any natural growth, this is what you are left to deal with. If you don't have growth and you don't allow growth, then the only outcome is to raise taxes.
Well, I think when we look at, as Dr. Orth said, you've got social services, you've got sheriff's department, you've got fire and rescue. I think the other factor that's just as important as those are the schools in attracting people. And they're the ones that have taken the biggest cut in what's been asked. I know it's not what, we're not cutting their funding, but we have cut what they've asked. And I understand the state has cut the funding to the schools. That just means we have to make up the funding for the schools where the state has fallen back.
Well, Ms. Hanson.
I'm listening patiently. It seems to me we're looking at a tax increase. And a lot of times people want, they say, well, you know, they voted for a raise. We voted for the COLA to be in here. It's increased the money that we're spending. But if it raises tax rates also for real estate, Doesn't matter if it's, they're gonna be spending their COLA just to pay for their tax increase, for their real estate. So, I mean, pay raises are nice when you can afford them, but, you know, people are gonna say, why are we giving pay raises when we can't afford, this, that, or the other? It seems to me, I mean, I'd love to be able to do that. I think it's important. It seems to me that that's really what jumped out, and increased the amount of spending, and now we're looking at having to increase taxes. What would that look like if we just didn't do any increase in wages this year, and then not have to charge them more money for their home? So, I don't know if that.
Yeah, I think we looked at that at our last meeting, and I think it still netted a tax increase even without the 2.8%. It wasn't 0.27.
Did we do that, if I'm recalling, because I'm getting old?
Yeah, because we went
Did
all
we
the
do
way.
that
We
with the
went all the way.
2%?
We went all the way back down to where it was the new tax rate with doing level funding for everything was I believe 0.528 is where it went from the revised 0.537, where we could have given a break on the taxes, but we did that because I wanted to see what it would look like. I wanted to see the same harsh reality of the full ask versus the harsh reality of we didn't grow, so we get nothing. If we don't stay somewhat competitive year after year with raises, then these folks just move on to the next neighboring jurisdiction that offers them a job that they have gotten a pay raise on the last 4 or 5 years in a row.
Well, that's the same argument we made about the boats and taxing them. Somebody's gonna leave, somebody's not gonna want this, I mean, I understand, but.
Yeah, but that's a completely different item altogether, because a boat tax has been off for years, and it's seen my marinas flourish. I've seen another waterfront restaurant get added in this county that was not here. You see the original waterfront restaurant is currently probably doubling the size of their facility. And I'm not saying it's all due to the no boat tax, but it certainly helps. And with us not having a money source to invest in economic development, to me, I've seen that money that would come in from a boat tax not coming in is a hidden economic development driver for our community.
Yeah, I didn't really mean to have to go over that. I understood that. I'm just saying is that if the answer is always somebody's going to leave or somebody's not going to do that, I mean, I know this is always a moving target, but, teachers might leave. Teachers might leave if we give them a pay raise. Or we might, after the pay raise. It's kind of a, what is the word that Mr. Wilmot used to use? It's hypotheticals. You don't like this. But I'm saying, sometimes you have to make the tough decisions. And I certainly, like I said, what people are probably coming back is, well, you raised our taxes and everybody got a pay increase. So we talked about that in, the state Senate and the Congress, they do that all the time. They raise our taxes to pay for more spending and then give themselves a pay raise. And we're not benefiting from the pay raise. I mean, obviously, and we're not getting a, expenditure increase. So I wonder what it would look like if we just did not do any pay raises.
Well, we can look at that again.
And with the 2%, because I don't recall that the 2% meals tax was in that when we did that adjustment. I could be wrong. Was it?
Yep,
Okay.
we hadn't touched that yet, but
Okay.
Mr. Nicosia, if y'all want to, we can look at that again. I wish I'd have had Maria save that spreadsheet when we had at that point the other night.
By the way, don't forget, we lost $500,000 in revenue because the relief veterans went up from 1.5 to 2 million.
Yep.
So we lost another 500,000, almost a penny.
Mr. Nicosia.
Mr. Chair, I try very hard not to jump down this rabbit hole. However, I'm going to jump down it for a second. I will say this. I can only speak for me. I'm an educator in this county. Dr. Blooddew came to us last year and said, I hate to do this to you guys, but we're going to increase your class sizes because we're already working. Believe me if you want to, don't believe me if you don't want to. But we're already working thin. And so, again, I'm going to use myself for an example. I take up a lot of real estate, as you all know. So just imagine being in my classroom right now with 25 in every class, 26, 27, 28, maybe to come. So I'm not big on compensation for me in my pocket, so don't take it that way. But you got some really hard-working people on both sides of the aisle that work for this county every day and work for that school system every day. And you can tell me, well, that's not the way they do it in the private sector or whatever you want to say. But we have incredible employees that go above and beyond for our kids, our adults, providing services. Yeah, I can see that, but I can also see that sometimes, and it doesn't really matter to me how that's done, but sometimes you have to stay competitive, as Mr. Chriscoe said. And so for me, you just gotta, we're in a tough spot, I understand that. And if we gotta cut raises, we gotta cut raises at the end of the day. But don't forget that we have some incredibly hardworking people on both sides of the budget who, it's not just school teachers that have talked to me this week, it's county employees talking about how things are going up. And well past the 7-Eleven this evening, headed here, $4.19 a gallon. That's gonna hurt, because it's not going anywhere. So, that's just my 2 cents. And I try real hard to not go on that side as much as, but I gotta speak up from that side of the house. And you got a lot of people that work very hard. That 2% raise probably isn't going to equate to a whole lot with insurance, but it goes a long way. Here, maybe not here, but here, and here counts.
Yeah, I saw the 44-cent per gallon gas jump today myself. Yes.
I guess the question would be to Mr. Nicosia. I mean, are you willing to give raises in exchange for a tax increase as well? I mean, is that a fair assessment? I mean, that you're saying, and certainly want to raise, but you're also looking at, we're going to increase, real estate taxes to pay for that raise. So it all comes out from somewhere. If the money goes in and the money goes out, and someone has to pay for it. And at the end of the day, like we want to ask people, they want a community center. Yeah, we want a community center. Are you willing to pay 2 cents, on your tax increases to pay for it? It's words matter. It matters what we're trying to present. And a lot of things, like Ashley said, are coming very hard down from the top. And it's a lot. And I would like to see it equalized and do what we can to mitigate and pay for what we can pay for. But I know that, like Tony said, we're in a tough spot. But I think that I'd like to take a look at seeing what that looks like at the end of the day.
I agree. I just want to say, I just want us to look at every avenue before we say, let's cut the pay raises. That's all I'm saying. Just let's explore everything. And if that's what it comes back to, we'll have to do what we have to do. But
Ms. Calloway, can you tell us off the top of your head, or maybe it's in here, what the 2.8%, let me write this number down before you go off of this one. What's the 2.8% compensation?
$680,591.
What's that?
No, that's only for the county.
Right,
And-
so but the school increase right here is 2,104,213, which is an increase of 2.8%.
You know,
Correct.
we've,
That,
yeah.
that's the,
Back to the schools, you know, we've talked about the excellence our schools have shown with all the statistics Dr. Villado has shown us. Again, it's an attraction, and, you know, we pay the price for it. You know, the numbers speak for themselves of how well the schools are doing, which shows the hardworking nature of the people that we have here. And as Mr. Nicosia said, it's not a lot of money, but it's what happens up here, what the people think about our support for them, even though it may not be much, it's something. It's better than nothing. And they certainly work very hard. There's no doubt about it. And it shows in the numbers that Dr. Vladu has shown us. And that is a great attraction. Another element, when I got on the board with Mr. Chriscoe and Mr. Hutson, we did our very best to try to make the county business friendly. And we've attracted good businesses, but we've never attracted the businesses that we thought would be able to bring more tax relief. We don't have the types of businesses York County has, Newport News. It's just the way it is because we don't have rail, we don't have natural gas. We all heard these stories. But we're relying on retail. We're a bedroom community and we rely on retail. People spending money at the local stores, and we're lucky to have that. We're really lucky the fact that we have enough people and enough services that people can spend money in the county. And it has shown in our sales tax increase. And it's slowed, but it's certainly better than what it has been in the past. But yeah, it's a tough budget, but I'd hate to see not giving the people the raises, even though it may not mean much financially. I think it's, again, support of them and our support for them as employees of the county and the schools.
Mr. Bonniville?
I too have gone cross-eyed looking at this over the past 3 weeks. I don't see where there's a lot of ask in these departments that look out of question, considering what it costs to do business nowadays. Is there anything that we can look at, and I keep going back to this, and I hate to do this, because again, I echo what Mr. Hutson says as far as nobody's asking for anything unreasonable, it seems, but anything in capital improvements that we can look at. I mean,
It's one-time money. It's
I
not
get it,
going to do anything to help us
on this side of things.
reduce the tax burden, or the real estate tax burden, or the sales tax burden, or the cigarette tax burden that we are looking at implementing.
What are our top three asks, Ms. Callaway, department-wise, other than the schools?
IT was one, right?
Yeah, and we know the reason behind that one. Yeah.
I'll confirm. I believe it was Sheriff IT and Fire and Rescue, but let me just confirm for you.
Dark green? Just want to make sure for the public that
Yes, sir.
watching, the dark green are the top three asks.
Correct. The dark green are the top three.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ms. Callaway, the spreadsheet you had up earlier, the listing of where we change things, if we were to go back and look at reducing the 2.8% to the schools, How will state funding affect that? Because I know in years past that if they suggested 2% budget and we didn't give 2%, we didn't get the money. Do we know where this is? I know the Senate is looking at 3 cents. The House was looking at 2 cents, or 2% versus 3%. If we go 2.8, will we lose that because we didn't go 3%?
If that's okay, I'd prefer to defer to the schools. I'm familiar with state compensation board, but if they were to pass 3% and we only funded 2.8%, that we would miss out on that SOQ funding.
Yes, I think so.
That is correct. We would not qualify because they're funding 3%. And thank you for noting that they're still up in the air on whether it's the House bill or the Senate bill. One is at 2 and the other one is at 3, but thank you for noting that.
But if it's 2, then you need 1.8.
Correct.
Mr. Chairman?
But I was more concerned that if it's 3, and we only give 2.8.
Dr. Leming.
I've tried to be quiet, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I don't know who else has actually read the budget line item by line item. I personally read the budget line item by line item by line item by line item. I could keep going because I got dizzy and it's still going in my brain. I don't really, having reviewed the budget ad nauseum and having run a business for 42 years, I don't see much in the budget that is eligible to be cut. And on behalf of the county employees, I don't see anybody wasting any money, and I don't think there's any money hiding. Next comment. The county does do an audit. We do an audit every year. Not only do we do that audit, but that audit is scrutinized externally. It's already having a forensic audit done on an annualized basis. And believe it or not, for those naysayers, they actually get awards here for the audit, how well it is done nationally and statewide. Number 3, I've said for a long time, and I'll continue to say until I crawl into a grave, that there's a delicate balance between public services and the levies that we levy on our taxpayers to pay for those services. And I often use the example that if you have a high crime rate, then people are not going to want to stay here, they're not going to want to come here, and the land values are going to fall. If you have outstanding schools and people want to come to the county, and even retirees who have a home know that that home might be purchased by a young couple with children, that those schools drive those people into our community and help drive up land prices. So when we talk about services, the core services, as Dr. Orth has alluded to, and we all have alluded to, our sheriff services, our outstanding fire and rescue services, our social services who provide grace and professionalism to those in our most needy times, our schools, our county and the Parks and Rec, and the county infrastructure, all that goes into making sort of the fabric of Gloucester County. Mr. Chairman, when we have the empty chair syndrome, it is catastrophic in some of our departments. I'll just tell you that. I have the privilege to sit on the Social Services Board. On the Social Services Board, they do an exit interview. They present the exit interviews at almost every time we have a board meeting. Fortunately, there aren't a lot of these people. But when somebody goes to James City County for $22,000 more, not only do we lose that employee, but oftentimes we lose the 15 to 18 years of institutional memory that that employee takes with them. And it cripples the remaining employees because now they're overburdened, the workload falls behind, they have external benchmarks that they have to keep up and meet, and it's just a mess. The empty chair syndrome is not a position I'm going to support, Mr. Chairman. Do I like raising taxes? No. Have I done it in the past? Yes. Did I swear an oath to not raise taxes? I swore an oath to try to bring the highest and best value to my taxpayer dollars. That is my oath. Highest and best value to my taxpayer dollars. That is my oath and has been my oath for 20 some odd years. Personally, I'd like to see us go up another penny and divert it to the schools. I may not have traction amongst my fellow board members. I'm not on board of cutting the raises out. That's the empty chair syndrome. I'm not in favor of that personally. I'm not in favor of eliminating the step. I'm not in favor of that. We just had a work study that said we were behind, or a pay study that said we were behind. So, Mr. Chairman, I don't want to go backwards. If there's no other temperature to move forward and go up a penny and divert 600 and whatever thousand to the schools, then I'll be quiet. But that's pretty much where I am.
Thank you, sir. Back of the envelope math, be a $2.2 million to do away with the raises for the schools and county staff. About 3.38 pennies. And I'm with Dr. Leming that I can't go back to not giving staff raises.
I was trying to go incrementally, boss.
In a perfect world, we would have had growth. We had no growth last year. We went backwards. What little bit of growth we saw this year was eaten up by another $500 and some thousand for relief, which was a big topic of conversation today. The other thing that is out there, because it hasn't, we thought it had gone away, but it's not, is collective bargaining is still out there.
Oh, yes, very much.
She sent it back with amendments, and they did not act on the amendment. So the options are sign it, veto it, or do nothing, and then it becomes, it's the same as signing it, but it just takes a little longer. And there's no real look at the appetite, and Newport News they're sitting there going, it's 15 cents. In James City County, they're about the same. And it's going to be a big button that someone's going to have to push in the very near future if it comes to light. It's up to this board how they want to proceed, and if there's support to go another penny, then we will put that into the documentation for a Thursday night adoption. But at this point in time, I think we are probably where we are, because I don't see anything that's going to move us off of these numbers.
Ms. Galloway, what would 2 cents do to schools?
It would take them to about $800,000 below. It would be about where Dr. Vladew was.
Go back up, yeah.
No. I'm saying it would take what we're contributing now back to what Dr. Vladew, almost to what Dr. Vladew asked for before the schools added it.
So 800 short.
Yes, sir.
It would be about where Dr. Vladew asked before the school board raised it.
Let's try it. Yes. Is anybody else with that? 2 cents a schools.
Are you willing to raise the proposed tax rate 2 cents
For
and
school-
have that additional go to the schools?
I think the schools deserve it. That's how I feel. Dr. Vladew has shown us information that I think we all appreciated and how well they're doing. And again, I think it's going to be attractive to people coming here, but that's just my feeling.
Yes, Ms. Hanson.
I remember about a week or so ago, Joe and I had a conversation about, a home's not a luxury. It's not, they have luxury to going out to eat and all the other things. Me as a taxpayer, I'd be more comfortable with raising the taxes if that meant the schools were better taken care of overall. That's me.
What was that?
I would be okay with that. the tax increase, if it meant that the schools were funded in the way that they need to. Besides the sheriff's department, fire department, and all of that. It's what we do the most. It's the most important thing we decide on, but it's a lot.
I mean, I don't want to repeat what Dr. Fleming said, but he was eloquent in what he said, and I could not say it better about the fabric that makes this community, and it is an attractive community. And while there's slow growth now, I think there are good news ahead once things change a little bit for the economy, and we've got an opportunity to perhaps help us grow with the development that we'll be looking at very soon in the near future. But I think the schools are so crucial to where this county is and will go in the future.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I would support the 2 cents. And I'll tell you the reason I'd support the 2 cents if it went to the schools. I was privileged this year to be in the auditorium at Body Top on the National Blue Ribbon Award Ceremony, and I think my ears are still recovering from the children yelling and screaming.
I was there too.
It was quite the event. I just don't think we can short thrift the schools. That's my own 2 cents. Can you show that to me, Ms.?
It's coming.
She's always ahead of me.
It goes down from a current rate of .614 to a rate of
We can't say that, though, because that rate is based on a different assessment. So that is inaccurate and false, and I will argue that until I'm blue in the face or I pass out talking into this microphone. Because our real estate rate is 53.7, not 61.4. 61.4 is last year. It is old news.
Where's the AED?
I will say this, Mr. Chairman, a wise man told me at the beginning of this budget proceedings, I will not disclose his name, that we were going to wind up at .58. I swear he did. I have the email. So I guess the question is, as it's presented before us, does it have enough votes to pass, yea or nay? And is this the budget we're going to task the staff to develop the numbers and put into a resolution?
Yep, that's where we're at.
Straw poll the board?
Well, I mean, it's head nods at this point, and then we can instruct staff to move forward, because I can assure you I'm voting no. So, I believe they have I believe what I already heard was they had the four votes to move forward with this. Well, you're the three that are going to we're either going to take something back away from the schools, or it's going to go through this way. It's dependent upon, how the consensus of these three play out. It's not, I can't support the additional 2 pennies after raising 3 cents last year, having a reassessment this year that went up on average 16.8, 17%, whatever number you want to hear, to then turn around and do this, another 4.7 cents on the tax rate. Correct. And my suggestion, here's my suggestion. Instead of the full 2%, now I'm going to give you my suggestion, I'm going to tell you I'm still going to vote no, is you don't give them the 2%. You give them the percentage needed to go 3% on their increase if that is what the state gives them. And still, though, this is too much to the average homeowner, I take that back, the average property owner in this community. Yes.
So what would the budget look like for you to say yes? What would the budget look like for you to vote yes on this? None of it? Some of it?
About the only thing that I would be okay with if we had natural growth and didn't lose another almost penny to the tax relief would be probably 1 cent on the meals tax. You're not going to get to where I would vote yes for a budget this year. It's just, it can't happen.
There's 7 people here, each
Right.
with a vote. And we have had 4-3, we've had 5-2, 6-1, 7-0. I think we should see where we are on Thursday with the proposed budget and see whether we have 4 votes. And I see Mr. Hutson shaking his head.
I would like to leave here tonight with the numbers filled in, so then it is already printed out, everyone sees what's coming, and they know what pill they have to swallow here on Thursday night, with whichever way they vote. My other concern is, we pass this, and then the state comes back with something completely scatterbrained, and we have to do something different, and that's okay, we'll do it.
But that's not in our control.
No, I agree 1,000%,
I
but,
understand, but
yeah.
out of our-
You can pass your budget and wait to appropriate
Sure.
until
We had to do that
state
some
budget
years
is
ago.
finalized. So you can bifurcate your process.
Yeah, we've actually done it.
Understanding the schools are under a time crunch, I understand that. But if there's a major issue with doubt as to the state funding, you could do both.
Correct. So I guess I need a consensus. Who's okay with what we have before us right now? I got one left.
You gonna have to give me a second. My eyes ain't as good as yours. There's been a lot of, so can I ask the question?
Please.
Been a lot of conversation going back and forth. Slow that down for me for just a second and tell me what this additional 2 cents is that you asked for.
It's going straight to the schools. And that will get them to about $100,000 over what Dr. Ledoux originally requested. It'll be about $797,000 short of what the school board revised their budget ask of the county.
Not that I wasn't listening, so.
No.
What do you need from me?
Are you okay,
sorry.
are you okay with,
I was really looking at the numbers.
right, so are you okay with raising the real estate tax rate to .584 from the proposed .537? And then you would be looking at a 2-cent increase on the meals tax, no property tax, a 2-cent per cigarette tax increase, and I think that is all at the moment. And no boat tax.
To come to us Thursday night for a vote.
And this is doing nothing to our B poll either.
Roll with it.
Ms. Hanson, you asked Mr. Chriscoe what it would take for him to change, to agree to it. What would it take for you to agree to it?
Mr. Hudson, I think what would take me to agree to this is that all considerations for taxes be considered. And in this, it's not in a fairness way. I know there's been a lot of argument why and why not, but I personally think that the boat tax should be probably been considered. If everyone's paying their fair share and everyone's contributing, you're raising the money, you're asking for more, we're all asking for more, and that's why I'm gonna say no on that.
We discussed the boat tax at earlier meetings, and, right, and it went away.
But we asked.
We did.
I don't
We
support paying more taxes either.
we had the conversation. So I think we have consensus for us to bring this back on Thursday with all of our rates in written form and all of, because I know there's a lot of votes we have to do Thursday, but I think with what we have here, I think we have the consensus for this to proceed on Thursday. Mr. Hutson, did you have anything?
I was just going to ask Ms. Callaway, that under personal property, the 47,183, that's per penny, correct?
Doesn't get you much, Chris. I mean, $150,000. Oh, that's right. Mr. Chairman, just a thought, not on tonight at all, but food for the board's thought on the B poll tax. If we're going to mess with that in the future, I might actually suggest that be a dedicated, that any increase in those revenues be dedicated to utilities. Just a thought.
I thought that was the meals tax.
1% of the meals tax.
Well, you know, I'll say this for this board. If this budget passes, we've tried to provide some additional funding to backstop the utilities department. That's a penny. It's whether it comes from the meals or it comes from the general fund, we've tried to put $1 million, essentially, into the utilities fund to backstop it. It's still deficient. I mean, it still needs additional revenues to be solvent moving forward. You know, one of the thoughts, and I'd love to see it happen, is that we move it to an authority structure. And one of the reasons I'd love to see it move to an authority structure is, if I'm not mistaken, the covenant that Ms. Callaway so described earlier does not apply in an authority structure. I could be mistaken, but I don't believe I am. But anyway, just food for thought.
I know we're not going to look at the B poll for this right now. But while Ms. Callaway is still with the county, could you bring up what was brought up? Your initial, because I think it's something that we need to continue to explore. And in addition to, you know, utilities, we could also consider part of that going to economic development.
I'm okay with it, absolutely.
We could split it or something.
Yeah, split it.
Once we get to a point of knowing,
That's a great idea.
knowing what our value of, or what we're gonna generate from the changing it. How many batteries do you go through in a week with a wireless mouse, Ms. Callaway?
Where is it going? I thought this was gonna be easy.
It's because we put you on the spot.
No, it's, the computer is tired. There we go.
Didn't want you to raise his taxes.
Mr. Hudson,
I mean,
is this what you,
that's your latest, correct?
correct?
So being fairly consistent with other localities and everything else, we're looking at $450,000, just for round numbers. And these numbers can be played with a little bit. It's a tiered system, and I know talking with Ms. Harris, she did not like the idea the minimum was a $10 license fee, and she said it cost more
To process
to
the license
process,
fee.
well, to send it out, process it, and everything else than it's worth. So if we looked at $50 flat rate and just played with, you know, looked at the numbers, it would increase it for some, and others, it's mainly increases the businesses that are over the 250,000 and giving them,
It's a progressive model.
yes, it is.
That's really what this is. Not a regressive model, it's a progressive
Right,
model.
and that's where when I first started looking at it, this is where I came up with it. And Ms. Callaway, she worked through spreadsheets, I worked through spreadsheets. I was tired of talking to her, she was tired of talking to me. I don't know why, but she was. But this is where we came up with. And I would hate to put that in for the budget, but I think it's something we seriously need to start looking at early rather than later for next year.
I would agree. So,
Mr. Chair,
yep, Mr. Arnold.
my heartburn with the real estate is my assessment was outside of the norm, and trying to do quick math in my head, that's going to affect, I'm a fireman, my wife's a nurse, we are middle class as it comes. That's going to affect our monthly mortgage substantially. Substantially. And I think this community is composed of more people like me than most. That's my heartburn with where I sit with it. I understand the good intent behind it. That's a hard pill to swallow for me personally, and I think for a lot of people in this county. So I just wanted to say that.
Dr.
Mr.
Leming.
Chairman, I just want to echo what the chairman says. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, we want to keep Gloucester, Gloucester. Well, as long as we restrict the growth of Gloucester, this trend is not going to change.
Yeah, but I still think that, I don't know, it's, you could start seeing, I don't know if you're gonna start seeing this, but this is very aggressive in my eyes, because I can go back into the school board's budget request and show you where 3 years ago they asked for more than what they asked for this year. Their request next year will be for even more than it is with what we're proposing to fund this year. And I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but I might have written it down. Let me see. Do I have it from? Yep. Roughly down almost 1,200 students since I took my seat here. 21% decrease, and I have to go back and do the numbers at, where are we at now currently with the schools? Can you show me that number up here real quick? I'll do the quick math. No, I'm just looking at the money that we're looking at sending to the schools this year. So I can do some quick math, or as quick as my calculator will do it. We're looking at a 21, since I've been on the Board of Supervisors, with what's proposed in this budget, there'll be a 21% decrease in student population and a 33% increase in county transfer to the schools. And that's just for their operating.
And Mr. Chairman, we'd have to look at what that, during that time frame, the decrease in state funding has been causing that.
The bigger decreases you're gonna see in that is from the federal funds. But
we're having to make up for what's not coming down the pike.
I realize that. But you're also looking now, and I think it's about 9% increase in the funding to the schools for this year from last year. Roughly. That's more of an increase than anybody else has asked for. Just
Yeah, but
throwing
we-
it out there.
Yeah, we level funded them in 25 and 26, and in 24, we only gave them 981,000. So, yeah, this year, there's a more significant increase, but that could be because we've gone with smaller increases at least since 2022, actually, 20.
You get back into the
Yeah,
2021, they were getting extra funds as well.
Not true. Yeah.
So, but I think this is where we are as a group.
Ms. Callaway, can you go up to the top? Okay.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Come down a little bit, please. How confident are you with the contingency funds?
I think they're low.
The only contingency fund that is a little concerning and
Is
up
the
in the
fuel.
air is the fuel.
But the other ones you're comfortable with?
Oh, you're looking, let's look down here, I see what you're looking at.
Yeah, where to do that, what do we do with the fund balance? Are we at 15%, 15.1?
Correct, yes, sir.
I thought we left that at 16.
Nope. We said we might not appropriate it down to 15 until after we handle the fire department borrowing, but the consensus was to take it to 15.
Yes, sir, as long as you appropriate for the schools by the time their contracts have to be let. Yes, sir.
So where are we using the,
It's all in capital improvement.
so we're using 9% or 0.9% of the fund balance?
Below the 16%, correct.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Dr. Leming.
I move we adjourn.
We have a motion, we have a second. I guess all in favor, please signify by saying aye. I have a privileged motion with a second on the floor. I have to take action. You can vote no if you don't want to leave. I am too, because we haven't given staff the direction they need to prepare for Thursday night. So with that, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. I have to have the vote. All against? Aye. So, all right, now we're back to discussion.
What is it that you want to tell her that you haven't told her?
Well, I have, Mr. Hutson is still, but I wanted to give them direction to prepare the documents to be presented Thursday night as they appear in this spreadsheet. Unless there's any other conversation, that's where we're headed.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Nicosia.
I have a question. I got lost in the numbers because that's what we're here for. All right. So, as my mind is swirling around, grasping it all, this this additional two cent for the schools. Let's wheel. I don't walk, so let's wheel down this path for a second. Yes, I said it. I own it.
Thank you.
I own it, and I said it.
I needed that.
Okay, so did I. What is this additional 2 cent is going to do? Because I see Mr. Bonniville's point. You know, my not just mine. I can tell you that tomorrow morning my phone is going to start ringing, and I can tell you that it's going to be the older population that's going to call. And so, what is this additional 2 cent going to, how is that going to help? That's number one. Or what is it going to do? Number two, and this is the B side of my question. It helps to fund some additional stuff, I know, but how did that affect the other side of the ledger, Mr. Chairman? Does that help the county, who also has already been stated that they are not getting their full request? So in my mind, it's I got a little heartburn with that from a perspective of fairness. Just fairness. That's all I'm saying.
Well, the 2 cents that they have, or that you all have agreed to give to the schools gets them back to $100,000-ish over Dr. Vadou's original proposed budget and about $790 something short of what the school board brought to us to get them to their full ask. So we're slightly over Dr. Vadou's full ask and about 1.1 pennies below what the school board sent to us. Yeah, and, you know, we didn't fully fund everything from the county side, but you're looking at additional personnel that we did not fund, but we are funding the full 2.8% COLA that was originally proposed in the budget. I don't think we took a whole lot else out. We did add, I think, did we add the entire community coordinator position to the county side?
Correct.
So we've done some things that were slightly different, but, you know, at the end of the day, the extra 2 pennies is going to go straight to the schools to get them closer to their full ask.
Mr. Nicosia, in response, Dr. Vladou gave us a bunch of goals, and each of those goals had a dollar value associated with it that amounted to the amount of money they requested, which is less. So I would assume that these are the things that the additional 2 cents would go for, are these items in the goals that he has here.
Ms. Hanson?
Even with given that, you still would not vote on this tax increase if it's dedicated to the schools?
I've already told you I'm voting no.
Okay. All right.
We could raise it 100 cents and I'd vote no. It's because of where we are in our county with the economics of our county, what happened last year with the tax relief. The state has not stepped up to help us with that. The state continues to fall short when it comes to public education. They do it every year, and they are doing it even worse this year than in years past. So I guess my problem is more probably with Richmond than it is our situation here. But based on what I have before me and the decisions that I have to make, this is going to cause a big ripple in our community, and it's not going to be fun for the next 2 months until people forget about it, until their tax bill hits again, and then it'll flare up again, and then it'll go away, and then everyone will complain on December 5th when they have to send in their tax bill for the second installment. And I don't envy the situation we'll be in next year if there's still no growth in this county, because I think this will be a drop in the bucket. So, yes, Mr. Hutson.
Mr. Lewis, can I ask you a question? What are we paying $55,000 to dispose of? Is that the,
It's more to pay for some professional services to inspect the old landfill.
The old landfill?
It's the old landfill. It's the mowing, it's the monitoring, all of that kind of thing.
Thank you.
Sure.
So, I believe there was a consensus to bring forward to us Thursday a budget to adopt with all of the rates represented in this sheet. Is that still the case? Mr. Nicosia, I'm looking for you, because you were on board a minute ago.
I mean, you bring it. I mean, you still got to vote on it. I just want to
Correct.
make sure my head was in the right space.
Okay, so then, with the consensus, we'll direct staff to present information for us to adopt the budget with the figures shown on the worksheet here tonight. Okay, now Dr. Leming, you can make your motion.
May
Oh,
I
yeah,
request real
please.
quick? I'm sorry. Am I understanding that you wish for the appropriation resolution to match the budget resolution?
I would like,
Please, please go ahead, sir.
but we still have the option to do the budget and not do the appropriation.
You can, but once you appropriated monies to the schools, they're appropriated,
Oh, I know that.
so,
In bulk.
in bulk.
I got it.
So you have two options. You could either budget and appropriate the same night, as you typically do. And the small risk is that Richmond shortchanges us, right? Or you could budget the entire package, and you could only appropriate everything except anything over 2% on the raises to the schools, right?
But here's the reason I don't think we have to worry about it is because you have more than covered what it would be if it's a 3% increase. With the 2 cents, you've already covered it,
So the cleanest
is to do it all.
is to do it all.
That would be my suggestion, because you've more than covered that 0.2% if they give us the 3, with what's being presented here.
And since they're lump sum funded, then it's one big silo.
Thank you.
Now, do you have everything that you need? Okay.
I believe the word is fungible.
We should all have more fungible.
Motion, Mr. Chairman,
Onion things?
Those are,
I move we adjourn.
is there a second? We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.